Imagine for a second being a surgeon, a monk, a prison warden, and a college dean, all without a single qualification to your name. Well, this isn't just a thought experiment. It's the unbelievable true story of Ferdinand Demara, a man who lived more lives than anyone you've ever heard of. I mean, seriously, think about that. The pressure, the stakes, a human life literally in your hands. Most of us, we'd be completely paralyzed by fear. But Ferdinand Demara, well, he wasn't most people. He actually did it. And that brings us to what is probably the most audacious, the most incredible impersonation of his entire career. This is the single moment that really defined his legend. Okay, so picture this. The scene is tense. We're right in the middle of the Korean War, on board a warship in hostile waters. And on that ship, there's a doctor, a man the entire crew trusts with their lives, no questions asked. Except the man they all called Dr. Sire was actually Ferdinand Demara. With literally zero medical training, he successfully performed major surgery on 16 different soldiers. He even pulled a bullet out of a guy's chest. And his secret? Get this. He just speed-read a medical textbook in his cabin to learn enough to get by. And he was so convincing that his commanding officer even recommended him for a medal for his calm bravery. You just can't make this stuff up. It's just a staggering thought, isn't it? What kind of person has the nerve, the intelligence, and the sheer audacity to do something like that? To really understand the man, we've got to go back to the beginning. You know, Demara wasn't born a con man. His whole journey into this life of deception was really shaped by a huge, dramatic fall from grace that just left him wanting more from the world. See, he was born into a pretty well-off family in Massachusetts. But then the Great Depression hit and completely wiped out their fortune. And that sudden plunge from having it all to having nothing, well, it changed everything. At just 16 years old, convinced there was a better life waiting for him, he ran away from home to go find it. So his first stop was, of all places, a monastery. He was looking for a quiet life of contemplation. He kind of drifted between different religious orders, but his restless personality just never quite fit that quiet, disciplined lifestyle. And it was right around here that the light bulb went off, and he started to realize he could just become someone else. Next up, he makes this incredible leap into academia. Using totally forged credentials, he lands a job as the dean of the School of Philosophy at a college in Pennsylvania. And he didn't just teach, no, he even published a booklet on child rearing that was actually pretty well regarded. Then he completely pivots again, this time into law enforcement. He became an assistant warden in a maximum security prison in Texas, which just goes to show you that no field was out of his reach. So you've got a monk, an academic, a lawman, and believe it or not, he was just getting started. And here he is. This is the man himself, Ferdinand Demara. They say he had an extraordinary IQ and a photographic memory. You see, he wasn't just a simple liar. He was a master of completely inhabiting brand new identities. So what was his secret? How in the world did he fool so many experts for so long? Well, it turns out he had a personal philosophy, a set of rules for his, let's call it, unique line of work. When people asked him why he did it, his answer was simple. Rascality. Pure rascality. See, for him, it wasn't really about the money. He was in it for the challenge, for the sheer thrill of the game itself. His core strategy was brilliant, and he called it expanding into the power vacuum. He would never try to take someone else's job. Instead, he'd join an organization and find an empty space, and then he'd create a new role, a new committee, or a whole new department. By doing this, there were no past standards to measure him against. Nobody could challenge his expertise, because he was the only expert. He got to write his own rules. And his other golden rule was simple. The burden of proof is on the accuser. He knew that making an accusation is easy, but actually proving it is hard. He just projected so much confidence that most people were too intimidated to even question him. And if they did, he'd put the pressure right back on them to prove it. Eventually, that whole story of the surgeon who wasn't a surgeon got out. But here's the ultimate irony. The very exposure that should have ended his career actually launched him into an entirely new one, celebrity. After his heroic, if fake, surgery story hit Life magazine in 1952, he became a national sensation. By 1959, he was on television on a quiz show with Groucho Marx. And by 1961, Hollywood made a movie about his life, starring Tony Curtis. And this created the central paradox of his later life. The more famous Ferdinand Demara became for being an imposter, the harder it was for him to successfully impersonate anyone else. His own face had suddenly become his biggest liability. So what happened when the world's greatest imposter can't pretend anymore? Let's take a look at his final years and the unbelievable legacy his story left behind. His story never really faded. It inspired films, books, and even a character on the hit TV show MASH. But in a strange final twist, Demara found a legitimate calling as a hospital chaplain, where his patients absolutely loved him. He even befriended the actor Steve McQueen and was the one to administer his last rites. A quiet, poignant end for a man who lived such a loud, chaotic life. So in the end, who really was Ferdinand Demara? A dangerous fraud who put lives at risk? A brilliant mind that was totally wasted on deception? Or maybe was he just what he said he was, a harmless rascal playing the ultimate game? I guess that's for you to decide.